The New York Giants waste no time making big changes. Let's talk about it. My name is Paul. This is Big Apple Sports. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you very much. Please just take a quick second, like and subscribe. Does me a huge solid. And I'm trying to build like one of the largest communities here of Giants fans where we can, engage in Giants football, talk in the comments, have some healthy debate, and just talk all things Giants right here. So when you subscribe, the community gets even bigger and better. We're approaching 5,000 subscribers here in the next month or so. So don't miss out on being a part of that. Like and subscribe. Obviously, we all know John Harbaugh is the head coach of the New York Football Giants. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, was that a dream? But it is real. You can pinch yourself here and there, remind yourself this is real life. Personally, I'm kind of getting flashbacks from. I'm actually a Michigan fan. If you haven't caught the show before, that's my college team. And I remember way back, gosh, I don't know if it was 2014 or 15. I had endured some rough seasons of Michigan football. I knew Michigan was going to be getting a new coach. You start to see some rocky roads between the 49ers and Harbaugh. And people start saying hey, maybe he'll get fired. He's a Michigan grad. Maybe he'll come to Michigan. And you're hoping, but you don't really think it's possible. And then next thing you know, he's the head coach of the University of Michigan. Now I feel like that same thing happened with the Giants. People are hey, Harbaugh and Tomlin, maybe if they don't make the playoffs, they'll end up being gone. And it just seemed like a pipe dream. But now here we are. John Harbaugh is the head coach of the New York Giants. And he's got a lot of work to do. There's a ton of talent on this team. But a lot of times there's a reason the Giants have only won a handful of games these last few years. And it's similar to Michigan back before Harbaugh, and something that Jim Harbaugh did for Michigan and now John Harbaugh is going to do for the Giants is they come to their new organization and make changes that a lot of people don't even realize. Of course, there will be some player changes this year. That always happens in the NFL. There will be the draft. But a lot of times, somebody like a Jim or John Harbaugh, who's been around the NFL, who's been everywhere, has been a part of winning cultures, can come into a new team and be this isn't as good as it should be. We're doing this where we came from, and this worked so much better. We need to amp things up, and you can already see that John Harbaugh is starting to do it from the opening press conference. He hasn't at a press conference, but from the opening things that he's said, and from some of the reports that have been coming out. We're gonna tackle all of that right here. So first, I just wanted to start. I loved hearing his words that he is going to be bringing the Giants a brand of football that they will be proud of. We certainly haven't had a whole lot to be proud of the last few years, but I just love the way he talks about the history here. You can see the fact that he is now a part of the New York Giants means something to him. This is a proud organization with a great and rich history that's been going through some dark days. But John Harbaugh, he's old enough. He knows how great this franchise is, and he knows that they deserve better. So I love hearing him say, it's the New York Football Giants. I can't wait to get started. I know how great our fans are. I've seen them close up enough. We're going to build a team that's going to play a brand of football that you will be proud of. What a privilege it is to join the Maras and the Tishes and the whole organization. I'm so fired up about the players on this team and looking forward to the great things we can accomplish together. And then I also love that he immediately came in and just started talking about how much he loves Jackson Dart. Said, I think the Giants roster is strong. It's our job to make it stronger. We're going to compete for the playoffs and for championships. And then I love this right here. I expect and want to make the playoffs next year. He's not coming here for a rebuild. He is coming here to immediately make the playoffs. And I think a lot of people believe that it's possible. Here's a tweet about a report from an anonymous AFC executive saying, Vrabel to New England last year is John Harbaugh to the Giants in 2026. Mark it down now, an A+ hire. Because you have a team that has a lot of talent but doesn't necessarily have the right culture in place. That was the case last year in New England, and now that's been the case with the Giants, and he's going to come in and change that. And some of the things that are being reported that he plans to change, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about today, and this is why it took so long to get his contract banged out, is because he looked at the organization and he knew, like, we need to make some big changes. So first off, it's already being reported. He's not reporting to Joe Schoen. He's reporting directly to John Mara. Like, that's how it was in Baltimore. That's how he wants it here. I think everybody who follows the Giants are pretty happy to see that maybe Joe Schoen will have a little less power. But then it also sounds like they talked a lot about, like, some of the organizational and operational issues. So Jordan Rannon here reported, change is difficult, but spoke with former players and coaches who were with the Ravens and the Giants. They suggested that the Ravens operation was running at a different level. Everything from analytics, training, video, medical, personnel. Baltimore is known to spare no expense. Huge staffs, top-notch facilities, one of the best-run organizations from top to bottom in the NFL. And that right there is huge and something that the Giants have been lacking. And, like, something that really gives a competitive advantage to some of these teams in the NFL. Because, like, you know, in the NFL, there's no Los Angeles Dodgers where you can... I don't even want to get into that. If you follow baseball, you know. But that doesn't happen in the NFL because there's a salary cap. There's a limit on the kind of players you can bring in. There's only so much you can do in the draft. But the one way, like, a rich owner can really separate themselves from the rest of the NFL is with this kind of, like, there's no salary cap on how much money you put into your analytics department or your personnel or your facilities. And I think that's a big part of what Harbaugh was trying to work through in his interview and why it took contract negotiations, and why it took several days to come to an agreement is because he could look at this Giants organization and be like, look, I can do a lot with these players. Like, I will admit, like, Jackson Dart is a star. Malik Neighbors, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns. Like, I can work with these players, but we need to have a better analytics department. You know, there are reports about him wanting big-time money to spend on his staff. And when you can bolster all of these different things, like, that is what really sets the tone for a winning culture. You have more players, or more personnel pouring into your players to help your players be better. The players, like, imagine what that does to morale, that they can see, like, man, these owners, these coaches, these executives, they want to see us win. They're giving us the best of the best because they care about winning football, and that kind of mentality spreads throughout the whole organization, and I really think you're going to see that from the Giants next year, and you can just already see how excited these players are. And, like, you know, Jackson Dart has got to be out of his mind right now. Like, it was reported that he and Harbaugh met for 2 hours. All sorts of reports have been coming out about how, like, John Harbaugh and Jackson Dart are just like a match made in heaven. He's got, like, the mobility that Harbaugh likes in his offense, but he's also probably got a higher ceiling passing than Lamar does. Maybe not a higher ceiling overall. I think he does, but I'm drinking the Giants Kool-Aid. I might be a little biased. But I think he has a higher passing ceiling than Lamar. I don't think he'll ever be the same runner as Lamar, but I think the mobility he has is going to make him so tough to defend. But I mean, you can see it from all sorts of players in the Giants organization. You had Cam Scadaboo. I'm not going to read his tweet on here or Instagram post. This is a family show. Not a very family-friendly message from Scadaboo, but he more or less was very excited that John Harbaugh was coming, and I think he used the phrase that it is a new bleeping era. And I think that's kind of like the message that is being sent right now. Is like, this isn't just a new coach. This is a new era, and this is going to be an era where top to bottom, this is an elite organization that commands the respect that the Giants have needed for a long time. I got to pull up Kayvon Thibodeau's tweet. I thought this was cool. He says, full circle moment. I always tell the story of me not watching football. The first full game I watched was the Ravens beating the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I think I was 13. Now I have the opportunity to play for John Harbaugh. So that's really cool there. And that kind of just shows you, like, John Harbaugh, a lot of these players probably grew up watching him. Like, he is a legend in this league. He's an elite coach. Will probably go down as a top 10 coaches of all time. Maybe if he wins a couple rings in New York, he can go down as one of the best ever. And he's somebody who is going to set the tone for this organization. Like, they have desperately been needing somebody to come in here and say, like, this isn't good enough. This culture is not good enough. I remember when I watched Jim Harbaugh get introduced at Michigan, he just stepped in and was like, I am going to attack every single day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. And I feel like John Harbaugh's already coming in with that same Harbaugh mentality. Jim did it at Michigan, did all sorts of crazy things to try to give Michigan a competitive edge. Some of them legal, some of them, it kind of got some gray areas there. Hopefully we don't have to deal with any of that. But, these Harbaughs, they're competitive, and they will accept nothing but the best out of their players, out of their front office, and out of everything. And I think big changes and wonderful times are coming ahead for the New York Football Giants. So you guys, comment below. Give me your thoughts on all of that. Let me know, who do you want to be the coordinators? It seems like Todd Monken is pretty much a done deal. It'd be a surprise if it's not him at offensive coordinator. But let me know who you'd like to see. And then don't forget, please just like and subscribe on the way out. Remember, I'm trying to build an awesome Giants community here. I want you to be a part of it. It will make it even more awesome. So hit that subscribe button, hit me up in the comments, and we'll talk some Giants football.